Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 192. Larry here, and I'm joined by Anthony, but of a different variety, not of the Retro Gamers. But, of course, my very long-time friend, he's been on the show before, Anthony Chu of the Yin and the Yang Podcast. Anthony, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Retro Gamers fans, all of you listeners out there, it's an honor for me to come back here into the show. It's been a long time, actually, and of course, having the company of my longtime brother, you know, one of my best friends and brother, I definitely can say it's, you know, the last time I was on the show, there was no such thing as a pandemic or COVID-19.
Yeah.
It's been that long.
You're telling me.
I've been on this show for what, about 6 months?
Probably. Like what, episode around 150 or something?
It's been actually almost close to a year since I've been on this show, I think.
That's possible.
Something like that, possibly.
That is possible.
You know, doing great. I hope everybody's out there healthy, safe, of course. You know, you and your families and all that. And, of course, we're going to get down on some retro gaming today.
We're going to do a little bit of a kind of a mix of things, topics that I enjoy, topics that you enjoy, and let's bring some of the people up to speed here. You do a podcast, and everyone lately, yourself, me, Anthony Rippo, which is why Anthony, regular retro gamer Anthony, is not here. Kind of a lot of moving around, a lot of things going on in life. So, Ant, tell the fans here about your podcast, the Yin and the Yang Podcast.
Okay, so I have an interesting little bombshell to drop exclusively for you fans here.
Oh, we gotta look at this.
I'm going to do that at the very end of the show.
Now it's a teaser.
I'm going to give you a little suspense there. I'm not going to leave you on a cliffhanger, but I'm going to give you a little bit of suspense. We're going to build it up, but I do want to emphasize that one of the main aspects or themes of the Yin and the Yang podcast is obviously we bring you entertainment, we joke around, it is explicative, not a little bit, it's a lot, but at the same time,
not safe for work. Not safe for work.
Not safe for the kids either. You know, so basically, you know, obviously this show is as successful as it is because it really broadens the horizons for all ages, all demographics, of course. So it's great. You know, anybody and everybody can listen to it. I mean, you know, like my 5-year-old nephew can listen to this show, no problem.
I hope
right?
so.
He has the attention span of it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, at the same time, our show is a little bit different, but our overall theme is about health, fitness, motivation, by way of martial arts, by way of exercise, healthy living, clean eating, that type of thing. So we do talk about that. And plus also a lot of people have written in and have spoken to me about, you know, bringing some old segments back and then, you know, introducing some new segments in, maybe switching up the content a little bit. So I have been avidly working on that. But you know what? The life and realities of what's been happening to me in the last 7 weeks have really not taken its toll per se, but has really had me focus my attention on other things, such as I just recently moved about 2 months ago. I left New Jersey, and I'm out in the Maryland area right now, so I'm staying with some family. And, you know, it's just been, you know, brand new job. You know, so I'm transitioning in with that. And then just, you know, the whole move coming here, put my items in storage. So that's a bit odd, you know, like I'm in a house right now with, you know, my brother and his family and 2 screaming kids. So, you know, I mean,
no thanks.
It's like, you know, it's not easy. And having to purchase a home out in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area. So I'm working on that. So it's just a lot that's been taking my time. So the show has been on hiatus, is my point. And we will bring it back actually rather soon. And then I got a bombshell to drop for you all at the end. A little exclusive for the fans of the Retro Gamers and the Retro Gamers only.
All right. Well, I like that. If we, you know, that's what we we pride ourselves on are exclusives, and I think we've had no exclusives thus far. So this would be our first one. So that works out well.
Yeah.
So you know, one, especially with you being on this week, you know, you yourself, and we've known each other for decades at this point.
Oh, geez. I think it's been, what, since 1995?
Something like that.
Right?
Probably, yeah. Maybe just a little tad sooner than that, earlier than that.
Right.
But, you know, yes, you do, especially the last few years. You yourself have definitely gotten yourself in a physical shape, a mental shape, all well, all good. There you are.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Hey, minus the quarantine weight that I gained.
Well,
just a little bit because, holy smokes. You know, when you're not in the gym and you're not working out with your workout partners and you leave that entire team and now you're, you know, solo, it's tough to push yourself by yourself.
Yeah,
you know,
tell
some
me.
people have that discipline and some people don't. You know?
I've gained my quarantine weight. I've gained your quarantine weight. I've gained everybody's quarantine weight. So,
geez.
I'm kind of hoping maybe this episode maybe lights a little bit of a fire under me. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We've kind of touched on this once before, but I want to do this again with your perspective of the, you know, I mean, Anthony Ribbo, you know, he's definitely doing good as well as far as health and stuff like that. But I want to get your perspective on some of the, over the years, the exercise video games, the exergamings as they're called, exergames. And, you know, we can talk all the way back as early as the NES, as recent as the Switch, and a little bit in between. Do you remember maybe the first time you came across one of these exercise games, or a game where, you know, that actually made you get up off the couch and do something, like to interact with the game?
Right. So that's a really great question, and it's a perfect segue because the very first thing that came to mind, I remember, was back in the 80s. I was over at my cousin's house, and, you know, my uncle is pretty much, you know, he's made a living off tech. So he's an IT system specialist, you know, and, you know, with him, I remember he bought my first Commodore 64. He bought me my first Commodore for my birthday. And at the same time, he bought me my first NES system.
Okay.
Now, I have to really admit to you all here at the Retro Gamers that I didn't exactly grow up with a very healthy lifestyle of eating. I think that with my mom, there's a reason why I'm explaining this to you all. My mom, when she cooked for the family, she gave us more what we wanted and not what we needed, you know? And I think that it's interesting because obviously if your diet's not right, you know, you're not going to want to do anything physical because they go hand in hand. Well, I remember going to my cousin's house, and I was, you know, chubby kid. I mean, I've been pretty much overweight practically my whole life. And I remember my cousin one day going over to his to my uncle's house for dinner, for Sunday dinner. I remember my cousin showed me this thing that he had spread out on the floor, and when I looked at it, and I looked at him, I said, "What is this thing?" And he goes, "It's something called the Nintendo Power Pad."
Oh, okay.
I'm like, "What? What is that?" Right? So he's like, "Dude, it's just like a controller, except that it's for your physical being. It's for your body, right?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" So, correct me if I'm wrong.
All righty.
There are certain buttons on the Power Pad that you use with your feet.
Yeah, basically the whole,
Right. So the first, it's actually 2-player, I believe.
I mean, it could be. I don't remember if you can hook up two of them together at the same time, but
No. I mean, the mat. I think can the mat host 2 people at the same time?
I guess it depends on what you're doing. I don't think you can get 2 people running at the same time. You could, though.
It's funny that you say that is because the first game that my cousin had was track and field.
Yes.
And holy smokes, having a fat kid run, and that's exactly what I was, having a fat kid run in place and trying to beat your athletic, healthy-looking, slim cousin is not an easy task.
I can imagine.
We must have played that thing 15 times, and I beat him once. And I think it was only because he allowed me to.
Or you get down on the ground, instead of using your feet, use your hands and just smack the pad really, 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 really fast. That's what a bunch of us used to do, yeah.
I never thought of that.
It's the same as taking the zapper and going straight up to the screen.
Yeah.
And shooting.
Exactly, for duck hunt, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so we did that. And then I think there was another one we did where we were jumping a lot.
Well, it could be the same game, because, the power pad, was packed in, well, eventually it was packed in with some other games, but World Class Track Meet was the game that was
the one we played.
Packed in, and that would have different events. But also, kind of little on a side note, remember the power pad also was packed in with the hardest to find NES game ever, which before it was called World Class Track Meet, it was called Stadium Events. And
really?
The only difference between Stadium Events and World Class Track Meet is the name and the opening screen. Beyond that, it is the exact same game.
Why the change, though?
Nintendo bought the rights to the game. I think it was, let me see if I can read it. I want to say it was Bandai, who originally had Stadium Events. Yes, Bandai.
I think so, yeah.
And then Nintendo bought the rights to it, and then they changed it to World Class Track Meet, and they pulled whatever existing Stadium Event copies there were. For example, I posted on the Retro Gamers page recently, Game On has a copy of an original copy of Stadium Events. And this is no reflection on Game On, because I don't know how much they paid for it or how much they're selling it for or if it's even sold. But this game, original in box, has gone for tens of thousands of dollars, if not 30 thousands of dollars or so. It's a very, very hard to find game. But the Power Pad came in with that. And then later on, the Power Pad, had some other games released for it. There was some aerobic games that was released for it. In 87, a lot of these games come out first in Japan, of course.
Right.
February of 87, we got it. March of 89, a game called Dance Aerobics.
Yes, I remember. I remember in junior high school there was a girl who was actually talking about that, and her brother had the Power Pad, and then she bought the game.
Okay.
That. So then she was using it, and it was a girls' discussion. So what do I know? Right? I was never a ladies' man, back in the day.
And back in the day, now forget about it. You got to knock them away with a stick. So Japan actually really took more advantage, and I guess you can write a thesis probably on why Japan would take advantage more of the Power Pad than North Americans would. Because North America or United States, unfortunately, has one of the largest obese. We're fat. Let's face facts. The United States is fat. But a lot more of these games in Japan took advantage of the Power Pad. There's one called Jogging Race, came out in 87. Pretty straightforward as to what that is. There's a game here called Miro Dakakusen, which translates to Maze Epic Battle.
Oh, wow.
Basically a maze game. It was part of the Family Trainer series they had over there.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it part of their version of the Power Pad was obviously part of the Famicom, am I correct?
Yes. Okay.
Now, let me ask you this, and I'm curious to know, and I don't even know if you have the answer to it. If you do, I'll be completely shocked. Is there any information as to how much the Famicom's version of the Power Pad cost as compared to the American version? Because I think that the Power Pad in the United States was almost $200.
I don't. I'm sorry, I don't have any information though on that.
Because I recall my uncle also at the same time yelling at my spoiled cousin, that he spent a lot of money on this Power Pad, because I think it was around 200, no, maybe even more than that. Okay. I could be wrong. I don't really know the exact prices back then, but so let's just assuming that it was $200. You're talking about, at that time, over 30 years ago, that's a lot of money.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's a lot of money. It would probably be the equivalent today of double that, possibly more. So that's a lot for an attachment or an accessory to a main system, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
I can see that.
what surprised me about the Power Pad was that, and I don't understand why, but Nintendo never really, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know this is your level of expertise, but for the Super Nintendo, the N64, right?
Yeah.
Am I missing a system in between?
No.
No, okay. Nothing.
No, you're right. There was nothing.
Why?
I just think it was the 90s. I just don't think that type of gaming was being looked for. I think the Power Pad also maybe just became more of a fad at that point. And I think also it to be fair, I think, again, I hate to say this, it's just, I think, again, in North America, we didn't want to move. We just wanted to sit down and play games.
Now, okay, but now, as comparable to like in Japan, when the Famicom came out with their version of the Power Pad, did they continue it on with their version of a Super Nintendo or an N64?
As far as I know, no, unless it was some sort of like maybe like a dance pad or something. But those games came out a little later. Like the Power Pad was up until 1989 here in North America, and in Japan as well. There was, though, and I don't remember this. I got to look into this a little bit more. Nintendo did, or Namco did kind of re-release a version of this Power Pad. They called it a Mac controller back in 2007 on the Wii. So there was kind of something that came out 2007, 2009. But let me see here. As far as systems in between, I am pretty sure it was NES, and then it kind of jumped. It jumped to, like, the next time we saw anything like that would have been the GameCube or the Xbox. So,
Interesting, because and I'm glad you mentioned the Wii, because for me that would be a perfect segue into how it evolved, because you went from this simple pad that was on the ground,
leaps and bounds,
a bunch of like buttons or whatnot, right? And then all of a sudden you have this controller that you wrap around your wrist that you hold with two hands, and now you can do a whole bunch of stuff. So now, out of nowhere, I don't know why, and this is the inconsistency of Nintendo, but also the brilliance of Nintendo, is that from Super Nintendo to N64 to is there something in between that and to the Wii?
Well, yeah, the GameCube. The N64, just real quick, the N64, well, it wasn't a fitness game. Now that I think about it, it wouldn't make sense. There was a game it was a Tetris game on N64 that actually measured your heart rate. And not for exercising. You hooked this thing up, I think, to your earlobe. And it measured your heart rate, and if your heart rate got faster, the Tetris pieces dropped faster. So if you're able to control your heart rate...
That's like an invite for like a heart attack.
So I guess it kind of taught you just how to control your heart rate. But that was the extent of it.
Nintendo.
Before we move on, I do want to make mention that as much as there wasn't a Power Pad for the Super Nintendo, there was a game that did take advantage of a third-party exercise bike. It was called Mountain Bike Rally, also released as Cannondale Cup. Mm-hmm. That came out in 94. I don't remember it. Well, GamePro reviewed it, but I don't remember seeing it in GamePro. But there was a bike that came with it. Or at least maybe you could buy separately.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it supported the Life Fitness Entertainment System. Oh, I do.
And can I also make mention of one thing?
Yeah.
For a lot of you fans here, either watch and listen, right? Or listen to the show. For the Retro Gamers fans that did not live through the 80s, okay?
There's a lot.
And I'm sure there are many, right? Because you appeal to a broad spectrum of listeners.
We're two old people who young people enjoy listening to.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, up until the time before the Wii came out, okay, the only physical anything that you would do video gaming is if you went to like Chuck E. Cheese. Okay.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
And let's say you got on like one of, I call them. I'm sure there's a term for this, but it's like let's say like you ever get on like a motocross racing game.
Yes.
Right. You got to actually get on a bike and you put your quarters in or whatever, and you're riding the bike back and forth or whatever, or like you're driving, right? Like if, let's say you go to the arcade, you're playing pole position.
Yeah.
Right? And you're actually turning the thing physically. Right, instead of just sitting there with a controller, or if you even Star Wars back in the day. I remember going to Chuck E. Cheese. My sister took me. We go into the booth, right?
Yeah,
and you're playing along, but you're steering and stuff like that. That would probably be the only amount of actually physicality that you would actually have, So up until that point, there really wasn't a lot of interaction. Well, actually, there's one other way that you can burn cardio or burn calories, burn calories, not cardio, was you go to the arcade and you're standing the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, really, no, I kid you not. And obviously you're moving, right? Because you're playing like, my favorite game was Super Punch-Out.
Great game. Punch-Out, yeah.
Those are my two favorite games, right? So I'm a martial art guy. What do you expect? So I'm like playing Karate Champ or I'm playing Super Punch-Out. And the thing about it is that would be the only physical interaction you would have with a gaming system up until the point where now the Wii comes out. Now, that changed practically everything. I don't know who it is in Nintendo who came up with this insanity, but it was the greatest, possibly one of the greatest inventions next to an iPad or an iPhone, right? And I tell you why. Because for the first time, you have to now stand up. You have to now attach something to your hands.
And that was the idea. Nintendo, with every generation, and we've talked about this before, with every generation, Nintendo finds a way to make the interaction different. Like with Microsoft, from Xbox to Xbox 360 to Xbox One, that controller really didn't go through too much change. It did a little bit from Xbox to 360, from the Duke to the 360 controller, but for the most part, it's the same controller. PlayStation, forget about it. It's basically the exact same controller with just a little nuances here and there. Yeah.
I was going to say that is there a particular reason, and maybe you know this better than I, but is there a particular reason why we skipped through so many gaming systems in Nintendo that somebody just woke up one morning, went to a corporate meeting and said, I think we should just bring back some physicality in video games now?
I think, again, I just think it was just what was next for Nintendo. Nintendo's always looking for ways to be different. Graphically, they're never going to compete with Xbox and PlayStation. Like, none of their games are right now in 4K. The Switch does not do it in 4K. You don't get those graphically heavy games on the Switch. It's about interaction with the games. It's about the actual gameplay.
But you know what? That's what makes them unique.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's sometimes it is good to stand out and really separate yourself from the pack.
Yes.
And that's exactly what they did, because Larry, I can't begin to tell you that if I wish I would have recorded the interactions that you and I have had with Wii Boxing.
Yes.
It was the greatest concept because I can actually beat the daylights out of my best friend.
You could.
Having to beat the daylights out of my best friend, and vice versa. Because let's be honest, you did beat me a lot of times in Wii Boxing. Wii Bowling.
I am the reigning champion.
Well, no, wait a second. I'm a former two-time champion. I've gotten my licks in. They also had Wii Tennis, no?
I think it was part of the series, yeah.
Okay, but it was just a heck of a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun because for the first time, you can actually, really interact with. It's almost like you have motion sensing in your body.
Well, that's what it was. And let's just bring it back for a second. Oh yeah, no, totally. We're talking about Wii Sports, the pack-in game for the Wii, which ended up becoming one of the most sold games of all time because the Wii was the most sold system of all time there for a while. And the games in it were actually really fun to play. The whole idea of Wii Sports was to really introduce players, both old and new, into this new world of motion with the Wii mode, which I have over there. And I remember when the Wii came out, there was a website, We Have a Problem, WII, We Have a Problem, and it was just people posting up pictures and videos of them accidentally releasing the Wiimote, and for it to either go through the television, or they whack whoever's next to them square in the head. So, which was pretty funny. The game came out in 2006, and yes, there was only about, it wasn't that many. I'm trying to think exactly what all the games were. It was boxing, bowling, tennis. I can't remember off the top of my head. And why doesn't this stupid article tell me what they are?
Interestingly enough.
Here it is. Hold on, real quick. So basically, it was golf, baseball, tennis, bowling, boxing. I think it was those 5. There may have been something else in there. Again, that I'm not remembering.
Baseball. We played that before.
Yes.
In your dorm, I think.
Mostly we did the bowling. But like you said, though, this kind of, especially the boxing part, got you to get up and start moving. But it wasn't until, which came out shortly thereafter, came out in 2007. Actually, we got it in 2008. Wii Fit. And this is when really the Wii and these exercise games started really now becoming into existence. Now, you had Dance Dance Revolution. You know, I think Anthony had the pad, I think, right? He had one of the Dance Dance Revolution pads.
Yes, from what I got, I remember that.
Yeah.
Because he was playing that at his house.
Because we all 3 of us hung out back in the day.
Right.
So you can see that as kind of maybe one of the first ones, but that was more of a rhythm game. Even though you worked up a sweat, it really wasn't a heavy sweat. With Wii Fit, and I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, probably the last...
Wait a minute. When we played Wii Boxing, you can't tell me we weren't sweating like we ran a marathon.
No, we were. But that was just, the game was meant for fun, where the Wii Fit actually measured and took, like, statistics of you. Or status, I should say. I gotta say, probably the last time I ever really started losing weight, to the point where people were just going, oh, it looks like you're losing weight. You're looking good there. Was probably when I used the Wii Fit. So it's been 18, almost 12 years or so since anyone really complimented me on looking good. So, and the Wii Fit, it came with the Wii balance board, if you remember the balance board.
I don't.
So it was just...
I remember you mentioned it to me, but what program were you using for the Wii Fit?
What do you mean?
In other words, is it just is the Wii Fit a program? I've never used it, so is it a program in which there's different exercises you do, or goals that you set?
Both.
Like, what do they have you doing? I mean, like,
there was
to the listeners or the viewers, like,
yeah.
Take us through an interaction of it.
There was yoga and strength training. There was also aerobics and balance games.
Is that what you did?
I did a little bit of, not much of the yoga. I didn't do much yoga, but the strength training. So basically, here's what it was. So you had this Wii. Again, I have it in the back room. I just didn't have it here in front of me. You have the Wii balance board, which is this board that you just lay on the floor, and you stand on it, and you do different activities on it. It had it was almost broken up into quarters, so it was able to measure kind of where you were standing. It was very accurate. I hated it because when you first started up Wii Fit, you go through the thing, you set up your little me character, and then it goes, okay, please step on the board. And I stepped on the Wii balance board, and it literally went, oh, like, whoa, like, all right, chubby. So,
wow.
And then it weighed you. And it somehow took your BMI. I don't know how it did that, but it figured it out. I guess using height and weight, it figured out the BMI.
For those of you who don't know what BMI is, it's body mass index.
Yeah. So what it did was it took my little me character, and based on my body mass index, it would go brrrr, and it would plump them up. So
No.
I have this little fat Wii me character somewhere on my Wii.
Mhm.
So basically what you would do is, and I was doing this for a while too, you had different, like you go in each day and eventually you kind of figured out what you like to do. So like for strength training. Now granted, what you could use weights, but really I guess the strength training was just using your own body.
Mhm.
They had push-ups, planks, twists, you do lunges, rowing squats, and you do this by either sitting on the Wii balance board or lifting your legs on and off the Wii balance board. So a new way you were.
Interesting.
Same with the yoga. You would do it on the balance board, and it actually would test you. Like you can see if you're shaking and like where you can center the body.
Okay.
I actually did more aerobic stuff. I actually remember because you were able to do this, and like change the channel. So the Wiimote had a sensor in it, so it knew if it was being shaken or twisted or anything like that. So I used to do jogging in place. Shocking, I know. Let this all sit in, sink in. I used to jog in place with the Wii Fit. I would take the Wiimote, I either hold it, put it in my pocket, or most likely I bought some dumb overpriced peripheral, which we're going to get into in a little bit, and I would strap it on me. I'd change the channel, most likely probably during like a Monday night Raw or SmackDown or something like that, or just watch regular television. And I would run in place. And this is when I was in the basement, so I didn't care. Up here, it would be a little different ballgame. But downstairs, and I'd run in place. Not hard, not heavy, but I would just run in place. And the Wiimote has a speaker on it. So it gave you time cues. You can do a 10-minute run, a 20-minute run, or a 30-minute run. And sometimes it would tell you, run faster. Okay, slow down. Mm-hmm. So it would bring you through these. And I remember for a while, I don't think I did the 30 minutes. I may have walked 30 minutes. But I definitely remember doing 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Working up that sweat. And that, I appreciated that. I wasn't going to the gym. And I think by doing these, like a hula hoop, like you simulated doing a hula hoop, that gets your body moving. Right. And then you can do a free run, when literally you just run in place for as long as you want. Okay. So the interaction of the Wii Fit back then really, and I was doing a little better with the eating and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that was really the last time that I got kind of motivated. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you sell different things. Like I remember buying a pair of gloves that had like 1 pound weights in them. Oh, and they also had places that you can put the Wiimote and the nunchuck into, so you didn't have to hold them per se. So little things like that. Right. But yeah, that was the last one. So they had Wii Fit, and then they did come out with Wii, which I never bought, Wii Fit Plus, which had like some more games to, some more exercises to it and everything like that. So, but yeah, no, the Wii Fit stuff, that I think is really what started this whole craze.
Right. Now, let me ask you this: with the Wii Fit in Japan, what did they have a similar? Did they have a similar type of version of Wii
No, it was
Fit
Wii Fit. No, it was the same. It's Nintendo, so it was basically the same thing, yeah.
It's interesting with the Wii Fit. I was going to say to you before you gave the description of what Wii Fit was like. I remember I bought a Nintendo Wii for my brother when he was in college, right? Just for him to use in college, because the kid was under, a lot of, you try to become like I don't know what major he was going for, but it was tough. Yeah. So I wanted to give him something to let loose, just to get some physical fitness, because even he was packing on some pounds, as a college kid, So basically, I bought it, and I didn't realize this until about a couple of weeks ago that in his office that has a TV and stuff like that as well, his Nintendo Wii is hooked up. Mm-hmm. And I said, I thought you tossed that thing a long time ago. Well, what he did was he saved it. He actually unintentionally stored it in mom and dad's house. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, when he bought his place here in Maryland, he took it back with him. I didn't even know he did, or else I would have taken the Wii. But don't let him know that, right? But my nephews are using it now.
So now there you go.
Find it amazing that you can do Wii bowling. They're doing Wii tennis.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing the fit stuff, but they're, because my brother would rather have them going outside, play in the park as long as you're social distance. But they're playing Wii boxing, Wii bowling, Wii tennis, and my nephew loves it. And so it's interesting how these things just pass on to that next generation. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners who are listening now, I'm sure if you have kids, I'm sure you're passing on a lot of those. It would be nice,
hopefully,
that you pass those games, those retro games, to your next generation and your family.
Yeah. So go ahead.
That's it. No.
No. I was just going to say, so as of March of 2012, Wii Fit sold 22.67 million copies worldwide.
Oh my God!
And at that time was then 6th on the best-selling Wii games list. In fact, this is pretty interesting. In the summer of 2009, the Finnish Defense Forces over in Finland bought 384 Wii consoles for their military bases around the country to inspire the soldiers to exercise and interact more during their free time.
What, they don't exercise over there? I mean,
I get during their free time.
Oh, okay.
During their free time. So that's pretty interesting. Some nursing homes even picked up Wii Fit to energize.
It's funny that you read that you actually mentioned something similar, because I was reading an archived article about when the Wii came out. A lot of senior citizen centers were actually using that, to interact, so that it keeps the senior citizens' minds sharp.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was fishing too.
Probably.
I think there was Wii fishing, or there was some game where you can fish, right?
Mm-hmm,
And what's interesting is that they attach to like these pretty big screens now, so the seniors can actually see it. Plus, it teaches them accuracy or focus, concentration, because it actually helps you. And this is very true in anything that you do that requires coordination, and especially even in video gaming, you need to have cognitive function. Obviously, you need to have coordination. You need to have focus. Wasn't there an article that came out some years back that said that playing interactive games, or just video games in general, actually increases your accuracy by like 10 or 20%?
Could be. I've never personally read an article like that, but I believe it.
Yeah. So it's really, it's obviously, like the myth has always been, video games are no good. It teaches you to be antisocial, and you don't interact with it. You don't get anything out of it. You're sitting down all day. Well, all these systems are proving that that's not true.
Yeah, correct.
And then now it evolves even more now. Okay?
It does.
Because some years later, and I know this is not retro, but I wanted to mention.
It's all right. We're still gamers.
Go with it. But if you're talking about exercising with video games, now you have the Kinect.
Well, you had the Kinect. We're getting there. Yeah. Then that's still, trust me, that's 360. That's the 360 is going to be borderline, I would say, in another year or two, as far as is it retro, is it not? But yeah, you make a good point about the Kinect. I think that was just Microsoft's response to the Wii as far as the interactivity, because Microsoft goes, well, we'll do you one better. You don't need a Wiimote. You don't need a controller. You are the controller.
Right, exactly.
I never had a Kinect, but I can see how it could work. And yeah, I think as you're about to mention, there were some good fitness games that came out that probably worked even better on Microsoft, on the Xbox.
My favorite one, actually, when I got the Kinect for the condo I had in New Jersey, I know I was like several years late. I think like the Kinect came out in 2011?
Good question.
Almost towards that 10-year borderline now, right? I think it came out in 2011.
2010. We got it. Actually, we got it first before Japan. How about that?
Yeah.
We got it November of 2010.
Okay. So now, basically, it's hitting that 10-year mark, coming up in a few months. And what's interesting about that was that my favorite game in that was UFC Personal Trainer.
Yes.
Where literally, okay, you actually, I think, you wear something. If I correct me if I'm wrong with this one, but you wear something on your thigh or around your waist, and
Possible.
it's a motion sensor, right? But then you don't really have to have it. But they say it improves accuracy or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you're actually they use real name fighters. They use real name coaches
Okay.
of mixed martial arts, camps.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually training you. So what's interesting was that, like, when I was living in Boston, I attended Sidyar Tang Muay Thai, which is basically run by a gentleman named Mark Delagrati.
Okay.
And Mark Delagrati is one of the best MMA trainers of all time, and he's in there. The same
wow.
guy, John Jones, Greg Jackson, his camp. Greg Jackson's a coach in this game. So what they're doing is you're shadow boxing or whatnot, right? So they're holding a pad on the screen and you're hitting, you're jabbing, or they give you a 1, 2, 3 combination, something like that. Or then after, like in the middle, they'll tell you to do like a burpee. They'll tell you to do like push-ups. They'll tell you to do like stretching and stuff like that. So that was one of the best games because it actually, so they train you like you're in an MMA gym without actually having the pad work, or the trainer there.
Did it actually measure you as well? Like to say, all right, you're obese,
yes,
you're losing weight.
They had goals, right?
Okay.
They had goals that you can set for yourself.
No, I mean, like literally, like the Kinect should be able to measure, your body and see if it's shrinking, then maybe you're doing better.
Right. Yes. I mean, I believe that there were updates that you can do, and that would give you progress reports and things like that. Right. So that was one of the most unique aspects of it. But then a lot of it becomes really, when you do it for a long time, it becomes repetitive.
True.
Because now, I mean, a jab is a jab. What else can you really do? A kick is a kick. I mean, you can interpret it in different ways, but then it started getting somewhat repetitive and kind of almost to a degree, it got bothersome actually.
Okay, I can see that.
To like really go through the same routine, you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But then now, let's also mention another one, and I did try this one time. You, my friend, are a huge fan of the Spice Girls, am I right?
I mean, of course, who isn't?
Okay. So Mel B came out with Zumba.
Get Fit with Mel B, yes.
Okay, I did try that once. I did like 20 minutes of it, and I nearly died. But that's a different story, right? I mean, but just to see the beauty that this woman possesses on the screen is just like good enough for me.
Well, she's no Posh Spice.
Yeah, that's true. And she's the most beautiful out of all 5 of them, I think.
Posh Spice? Yes, you're right.
To me, I think she is. She should smile at me, but that's a different story.
So, the Kinect definitely led into that. Some other games, very like like you mentioned, Zumba, the dance, Zumba's dancing. That's starting to become the big time. Speaking of dancing, the Just Dance series, especially with the now the Xbox One with Kinect, the PlayStation, the controller has the gyro sensors inside of it. The Wii U, the Switch, all the controllers had gyro sensors in them, so they knew movement. So I think now Just Dance, that series, which actually I think as of last year released their game on the Wii. So technically there was a brand new Wii game in 2019. But I think now Just Dance probably may be the go-to series for, it's not designed for it's not an exercise game, but you're dancing, and dancing is one of the best exercises you can do. From what I've heard.
Pure cardio,
Yeah.
So it's a lot of cardio, it's a lot of endurance. And I think that a lot of these interactive games, it's interesting. You talk about, like, especially the times that we're going through right now, right? Especially with the whole pandemic around the world, around the nation, that went from around March all the way to what it is presently. I mean, if people have to self-quarantine once again, or if we have to go through another one of these crazy phases, I think that things like this would really come in handy.
I think so too.
Give you something to do,
Yeah.
regardless of system. I mean, I'm not endorsing any particular system, but I'm just saying that it would be fun and interactive as opposed to just because gyms aren't open. I mean, during the pandemic, during March, April, May, June, gyms weren't open. And if you were, or if you are going, you're posing or taking a serious risk. At the same time, people, especially with the quarantine concept that everybody has to adhere by, you don't have much physical unless you go outside. But then now you got to do the whole social distancing thing. So I think that I have a prediction. Okay. And my prediction, honestly, is I have this belief that games like this will make a comeback.
I think so, especially because, and I'm going to show you a couple of things here real quick. Then I have a kind of not a top 10, but a list of some good exercise games, best fitness games of 2020 that we can talk about real quick. So the Switch definitely has that ability, because Nintendo, again, always looking to get you moving and everything. One of the games that came out, which is actually currently free, I think it's going to be free until September, then they're going to pull it from the site. It's called Jump Rope Challenge. That's literally all it is. You're just doing a virtual jump rope. Yeah,
really?
Because the Joy-Cons are they got that HD rumble, so when you do the jump rope, it feels like you're holding the jump rope and it's moving. That's how good these are. Now, granted, I own these games. I haven't tried any yet, so hopefully I will eventually.
Yeah, they sound fun as heck.
So that's one. There's another one that I bought called Fitness Boxing. What are your thoughts on like shadow boxing and stuff like that?
Shadow boxing is one of the, if done correctly with proper technique, and trust me, I do shadow boxing quite often. It is one of the best physical. Like it improves your blood circulation, your focus, your accuracy, all these things that we were talking about, your coordination. And shadow boxing is very good for you. Very good for you.
Let me ask you a question. If you were to shadow box, do you just do it with nothing in your hand, or do you feel like you need to kind of hold something to simulate maybe like a boxing glove, not a full boxing glove, not like regulation size, but like, do you hold something or something like that? Or you just kind of go?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And I'll tell you why I do. Whether I put 1 pound gloves on, or I just actually recently bought this during quarantine, is something called egg weights.
Okay.
So what happens is it's a weight that's the shape of an egg.
Hence the name.
It has different weight. Generally you should not put any more than 5 pounds in each hand, right? Because they say that it actually could hurt it could damage your shoulders.
I believe that.
Neck, that type of thing. And basically, it's like you put it around your ring and your middle finger, and it comes in like 2 rings, and you hold the egg. So it comes in between the 2 fingers here, and there's an egg that you hold, and you shadow box.
Oh, okay, I got you.
What it does is that it actually, when you take the weights off, because you're doing resistance training at this point, that you actually get the punch faster. So it's good.
The reason I'm asking is because I did do a little bit of the fitness boxing game that you can download, and you hold the Wiimotes and you box. But I'm like, all right, it's one thing and everything. I ended up buying, and I hope this gets me to start doing it again. They kind of look like plastic brass knucks. So you got these pieces here that simulate. So then when you you would hold.
I don't think you would hold it that way with the buttons, right?
No, you're supposed to hold them with the.
Really?
Yeah. It's more with the thumbs. It kind of takes advantage more of the buttons up on top. But you would hold them like this, and it gives you more of a feel. I can tell you right now, this feels like I'm to box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if someone comes in the apartment, I go boom, right in the jaw. Plastic knucks. And then I can still, take advantage of have the buttons here if I need to, or even I can get to the buttons on the side with my thumbs. But having this feels like I have something, and I have some better grip. I feel like I'm not going to drop the Wiimote anyway. And I think mentally, trust me, this is pure mental to have these. Not that it's crazy, but I think in my head, it makes you feel better. Like, all right, now I'm actually doing something.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I know. I agree with you 100%. And the thing about it is that, the whole key is that as long as you get yourself moving, that's what's most important. Yeah. And that's a very unique controller. It does look like brass.
All it does is just slides right onto the,
that's
like that.
Crazy,
just like that.
man.
That's
but that's good though. But now let me ask you this: is the point of that game? Is it meant to teach you proper technique, or is it just? Really
it's just
moving?
I should have said this in the beginning of the episode. If you're going to play any of these fitness games, talk to your doctor first. All right, we're not responsible if you pass out during one of these games.
That's a good point too.
But no, it's more rhythm. Like it'll tell you, it'll be like like all right, short, long, short, long, and then you do it to the rhythm. In fact, it's got some. It doesn't have the full songs, but it does have some instrumental versions of 5 Seconds to Summer, She Looks So Pretty, Aqua, Cartoon Heroes, Avril Lavigne, Girlfriend, just name a few. Video Killed the Radio Star. Call Me Maybe, Bad Romance, actually a couple Lady Gaga songs. Funky Town. What else? Shut Up and Dance. Some games like this that have kind of some rhythm to it.
Right. You definitely want something with some rhythm.
Absolutely.
Obviously, because it keeps the beat, it keeps the pace. I personally, I interestingly enough, right? Like when I work out, like Thunderstruck is one of those songs from AC/DC.
It's 40 years old.
And I'll tell you why. You know that beginning instrumental that goes,
yep.
Right? You know what I do with that? I kid you not. When you hear the riffs, right? You're doing uppercuts.
Quick uppercuts.
Or you're doing like left, right, left, right, left, right, So, you're doing that, or you're doing what they call feet fire, which is you're running in place like back, So you go along with the rhythm of what you're listening to.
Actually, with the riff, it's like like you're doing the upcuts, and then it's like thunder, and then you just shoot out quick.
Exactly. I like that.
No, that makes sense. That's a good idea. Happy birthday, Back in Black. So that's one little peripheral that I just picked up recently for the Switch, and then this I showed before, but I want to get your idea on it too, Ant. This I bought a while ago. I have not played the game yet, but it's called Ring Fit Adventure, and it comes with this bad boy.
What in the world?
It's a resistance. It's a resistance band, if you will, and the controller clips in on top, and it senses what you're doing. And the game itself is actually kind of like an adventure game, really, where, like, if you want to fire, boom, 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 stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it also has, like, if you want to do, like, a standalone, like, yoga stuff, like, you can, do, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man.
And then it's got another peripheral.
It looks like a steering wheel for,
Kind of, sort of. I'm sure someone's going to use it as a steering wheel. And then you hook this PC a leg, so it knows, like, if you're jumping or whatnot. And I just haven't used it yet, but a lot of people are swearing by it, saying that it does do good. In fact, if you go on Cheap Plug, Up, Down, Down, Xavier Woods from the WWE has a couple of superstars playing this and trying it out. So, and it's got some resistance to it. I mean, look, I'm holding it. You can see my hand shaking. So it's got some. I don't know what the exact resistance is, but it's got some feedback to it. So it's stuff like this, I think, is what really is going to help.
Well, Larry, you know what? I really feel like
and also getting off my butt and doing it.
Well, I'm saying, like, with the money that you've invested, that you bought, these items, and it's basically like an investment, because, I mean, obviously, if you're buying it as a collection to just display, that's one thing. But if it's really going to do you some good, and I know that you're a huge fan of, obviously, video gaming and retro, but especially retro gaming. I think that by having these technologies, I mean, bear in mind, people, when kids today or young people today have it very easy, or very lucky that they have this technology available to them. We never had that 30-something years ago. I mean, so the truth being told is that, you have it now. Definitely utilize it. At least, try it for yourself just once. Try it to see whether you think you like it or not, or whether you can or not. Then if you don't like it, okay, well, then at least, you could say,
I tried it.
Well, I tried it. I didn't like it too much, but at least put yourself through one workout, or one, go through the whole program, and see if you like it or not, man. It looks fun.
Yeah, it does look fun, in all honesty. And then, of course, haven't even touched on, because there's tons of them, mobile, on your phone. There's different games, like different running apps. I know there's one, I think it's called like Zombie Run, where you wear your headphones and like it plays like when you hear the zombies coming, you start running. And when you hear the zombies go away, you can slow down and walk. So it does that. Of course, Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is probably the biggest one that there is right now, where you're actually out and about with your cell phone finding Pokemon. To the point, I still find it funny. Like the first week Pokemon Go came out, the biggest complaint about the game from people was that their legs were killing them. Because they're now out and about. So, so I'm going to, I just want to mention here, so we got a list, I don't remember, it's not a lot of them, but it's from Tech Radar. This was printed in April of 2020, so basically right at the beginning of the lockdown and everything. Okay. But these are their best fitness games of 2020.
Oh, go for it.
So we got, and this is in no particular order.
Mm-hmm.
Ring Fit Adventure. Kind of goes without saying. Let's see, just scrolling down here. Fitness Boxing, which is what I was just talking about before.
Right, yes, yes.
All right, here's one actually Anthony Rippo has sworn by. Beat Saber, which is a virtual reality game. It's a VR game that's available on, I know it's on the PlayStation VR, and I think it's on like Oculus, like Facebook Oculus.
Right.
And it's basically, if you don't know what it is, it's a virtual reality game. So when you're wearing the goggles, you have the two sticks. They almost look like lightsabers, basically. Yes. And the song plays, and it's kind of like in the vein of Guitar Hero. We got hit in rhythm. Mm-hmm. And these boxes come at you, and you swing at the boxes, and that's what, plays the music correctly. All this stuff. Anthony says the sweat that he builds up from doing that, and he's in good shape.
Yeah.
It's a cardio exercise by itself.
Jeez.
So
that's insane.
Yeah, so that one's an interesting. Beat Saber, big time. Zumba, Burn It Up. That's available on the Switch, actually. Wii Fit Plus, which was the newer version of Wii Fit. That was back on the Wii. And you can play it on the Wii U. And Wii Sports, as we mentioned.
Yes.
It does get you into it with the baseball, the boxing, the bowling. Reigning world champion right here. And then we got a couple more here. Just Dance 2020.
Yes. Which
is basically on everything. Oh, you know what? Also available on the Wii. So that was the newest one. Just Dance 2020 was released on the Wii. And a couple other VR games. Knockout League, which is a boxing simulator. Box VR, another boxing simulator.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
And then finally a game called Sports Champion 2. That one's a little older. That one's on the PS3. It took advantage of the PlayStation Move and the PlayStation Camera. And that had skiing, tennis, boxing, golf, bowling, and archery. So they're your games there. Some good ones to try out. Of course, we're familiar with Wii Sports. I've seen Beat Saber, and Fitness Boxing and Ring Fit Adventure. I really want to get into. That's basically about it on everything. Before we start wrapping up, I know you got something to mention, but before we do that, and I got 100% honest with you. I mean, it's no lie. I mean, look at me. I can afford to lose weight, and get into shape. I look like I'm 20 minutes away from death here, but seeing you, truly you are inspirational, Ant. Because look, no, growing up, you'll admit it. You've admitted it. You were heavier back in the day, but by God, you definitely changed that around. And I buy these things. I try them once or twice. I say to myself, that's it. I'm making a change, and I fall right back into it. And it's, I live on my own, so I don't have a support team with me. Okay. You know what I mean? I don't have someone helping me through this. But even though I have nothing to show for it, trust me, it's one day I'd love to get this going, to really, not for myself, but for you. Because I know you're always trying to get me to do stuff like this. And you're trying to get me to, lose weight, get in shape and stuff like that from my parents, some other friends. So, one day, fall 99 times, get up 100. Trust me, it's more than that for me. But hopefully one day I'll just be like, you know what, F this. I'm tired. Let me just get this going. So hopefully I'll be able to do this for me, first of all, but for you, second of all.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And I would love to see you, obviously improve yourself. If like a lot of people don't really, and this is for anybody who's listening and watching this, a lot of people, and I've had a lot of people, and I can tell you this as a living proof testament that I've gone through a transformation of 270 pounds. I was fluctuating between around 270, and I'm now down to currently right now, my weight is at about 202 and a half.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
But I did it took me 5 years. Mm-hmm. And the reason why, and a lot of people look at me like, whoa, I've seen people lose that in 6 months. Then I also seen people gain that back in 3 months,
yep.
Or 4 months. What I did was I did it on a natural progression. It's kind of like what you always say to me, and this is a comparative with podcasting. When you first launch your first episode, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So True. What you're doing is you're changing yourself bit by bit, day by day as time goes by. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is we all are inspired to do it differently. There are people who love to run. There are people who love to do aerobics. There's people who like to do yoga. If your thing is to use, what you're using for the Switch, if your thing is to use Wii Sports, why not? You got to find, basically it's weird. You have to find your way as to what clicks for you. For me, I like boxing. I like using a speed bag, a heavy bag. Mm-hmm. I like the concept of hitting something. I don't know why I do. It's just
fair enough.
Right? And it's not like I have anger issues or anything like that, but I'm just saying that it's just that I just enjoy it that way. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that you have to find your own niche.
Yeah.
Mainly, it has to come from, and this is for anybody who was willing to make a change, it has to come from here. It has to come from your heart. This has to be something that you want to do, and it's not something that you're forced to do, mm-hmm. And I think that once everyone realizes that it's something that they're focused and intent on doing, trust me. And a lot of people use, one of the worst excuses I've ever heard is, I'm too old for something.
That's how I feel.
False.
And I know you're like 20 years older than me.
What? How? In what? Hey, if that's true, I'm doing the reversal of the process. All right, like I have a Benjamin Button thing going on. So
he's not older. He's not that much older than me now.
Yeah, man. I mean, so it can be done. Trust me,
yeah.
It can definitely be done. So I hope, my friend, that you find your way and you find your niche and run with it, man. Once you know that that's how you want to do this, go for it. Nobody should be fit into the same mold. I completely, utterly, 100% disagree that you have to do things the way I do it, or vice versa, or whatever. So you got to find your own way, man. I mean, And speaking of finding my own way,
are
you ready for the bombshell?
I guess so, folks. This is a first beep, 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 beep. Retro Gamers exclusive.
Absolutely. And it's an exclusive. I'm going to announce it right now, right here for you, the Retro Gaming fans. Retro Gaming fans, allow me to announce that the Yin and the Yang podcast was on a hiatus for quite some time because of just the transitions of what I'm going through with my personal life, with my professional life, and things like that. But I am here to announce right now, right here, that we will start recording our comeback episode this Tuesday, and our episode drops on Friday. The Yin and the Yang podcast can be found practically every single platform that you can think of. It's on the same platform as the Retro Gamers, the Better Half podcast, Talking More Wrestling. By the way, my friends, at the same time, if you have any questions, if there's anything that I can do for you, meaning the people, the listeners, the fans of the Retro Gamers podcast, by all means, drop me an email. I don't care what it is. Write whatever you like. Ask me anything. If you need any tips, any motivation, any inspiration, let me know. You can find me at yin and yang podcast at gmail.com. Once again, it's yin and yang podcast at gmail.com. So thank you guys for allowing me to announce this. I've always said that Larry's network of podcasts is like a family. And, we all work together. We're one cohesive unit. We bring each other up, not down.
We try. Yep, absolutely. And no, I appreciate that. Very good. Looking forward to it. Now I know what I'm doing Tuesday. And of course, here with the Retro Gamers, you can follow us basically everywhere. Instagram at Retro Gamers Podcast, Facebook at Retro Gamers Podcast, YouTube at Retro Gamers Podcast, Twitter at Retro Gamers Pod. Email us, email at theretrogamers.com. And for both the Retro Gamers and the Yin and Yang podcast, definitely please like, subscribe, thumbs up, 5 stars, whatever it is, definitely do it. And here on YouTube, hit that little bell icon so you know whenever a new episode does go up. And thank you very much. I love you, brother. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, fans. I hope you enjoyed this episode here. And I hope to catch everybody either in the Yin and Yang podcast, or hopefully I'll make a comeback and come back for another episode as a guest host.
We'll see. As we rapidly head towards episode 200, we will catch you right here next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.